Now it gives me great pleasure to invite Dr. Violeta Lopez. I've asked her to give a keynote speech on a subject of great importance. She combines the skills of an anthropologist, writer, and new interest in traditional medicine. Violeta? She's a Bollywood princess today.
This is indeed a historic regathering of ADS thinkers and doers. His Highness has referred in part to the seismic changes that we have seen the past 3 decades when we started gathering as Asian Dialogue Society fellows. There are clear, imminent dangers. The battle lines have been drawn. Forces of good, of light, versus forces of evil. Forces of darkness. Today, we have the regathering of ADS wizards, elves, hobbits. I suppose most of you have seen The Lord of the Rings. It's my favorite. I read it, the 2 volumes, when I was doing my field work in the mountains of Mindoro Island, and I was living with the Mangyans. You see, to get your doctorate in anthropology, you have to live with a culture other than your own, learn their language, and really participate in their day-to-day living. It's called participant observation, one of the major tools of ethnography. And that's how I was introduced to traditional forms of healing. I would like to do my presentation in the context of the Philippines, the pearl of the Orient Seas, land of the morning sun, because I believe it captures the many realities we're facing now in Asia. Yes, that one. Final thought. I can use my... Within the context of the Philippines, we see many of the social dynamics at work, including, but of course, the focal point is the election of a leader that seems to me typifies the rise of autocrats, new wave of political leaders, not just in Asia, but in the world. Globalization of health. Well, I'll explain how this is really a reality in our time. This is the Philippines. It still is. Coron, and we are known for our fantastic beaches, fisheries, okay, biodiversity. But you know, okay, still is. You can go around the Philippines. We have better corals than Hawaii. I've been snorkeling in Maui, nothing in comparison to the Philippines. Okay, we have the dugong, and we have the recent controversy, the Philippine rice, that China has been surreptitiously studied, even naming 3 creatures there. We are the center of the marine biodiversity. If you go to the Philippines, outside, you have to go outside Metro Manila to see this beautiful sight. Okay, turtles and corals everywhere. Outside Metro Manila, you have to go to the Visayas, Palawan. Okay. Now, the dugong. They're near extinct. And you have this, okay, Mindanao, we have the tuna. The Japanese really, the Japanese is a market for this. And if you have not snorkeled before, I would like to invite His Royal Highness, one way out of the vacuum is to be back to nature. Now, this is one of the Filipino fisher folks that were captured in the gray boundary lines between Indonesia and the Philippines. And they were imprisoned for a year, much to the dismay. And these now are the shark's fin, illegal, the poaching of Chinese there, Indonesia. And he was begging for government help to be released, and this young journalist, a graduate of the University of the Philippines, facilitated. That's the wife. And these are pictures of what the Chinese are doing with our turtles. Okay. Now, on our side, this, can you see this 380 pawikan, or turtles, okay? The Chinese are behind poaching, illegal, and then just killing them for the shells. Now these are, yeah, okay. Now shark's fin, another Chinese much sought delicacy, and how they are really affecting our fishery source. These are Vietnamese. So in Mindanao, our fisher folks there were captured by the Indonesians. In Luzon, these Vietnamese were captured by our Marines. No, this is what's happening. What these Chinese illegal fishermen are doing with our resources. Now, that's a turtle. Look at all those shells. That's the work of Chinese fishermen that enter our shores. So, but this is not just happening in the Philippines. It's everywhere in Asia, especially Southeast Asia. This is our marine patrol boats. But what can it do? We have antiquated boats. Recently, they've tried under Duterte to modernize. Now, we still have 50% of coral reefs, but Filipinos themselves are guilty because of destructive fishing. So, these are the realities we're facing, not just in the Philippines, but elsewhere. So, we're living in a degraded environment and rapidly diminishing natural resources. And Bali, you might be surprised. Bali, we imagine Bali to be this idyllic land. But this is the reality. All those plastic. This is not fake news, or this is not edited, but this is actual. But this is the reality again, not just in Asia, but Pacific. Solomon Islands, you know, the pristine islands. A sea of plastic. Well, if you're familiar with Shangri-La, Shangri-La Mactan, I was there not too long ago, several weeks ago. I only saw one plastic bag, in fairness. And the corals are alive. So if you want a fabulous weekend, go to Shangri-La Mactan. Okay, and the Asia-Pacific marine environment comprises an enormous, largely unexplored resource, including the most extensive and diverse reefs in the world. The deepest oceanic trenches, the Philippine Rice, has the largest resource for the space fuel. That's why China has been encroaching, doing secret research there. And then we have also threatened species including whales, with simians, sharks, sea turtles, dugongs, you know, the sea cow, and saltwater crocodiles. Yet many Asian islands suffer from the overexploitation of coastal and marine resources and ecosystems, none more so than the smaller high islands, okay, where people really depend entirely on marine resources for their livelihood. But the practice has not been sustainable because there's overexploitation of coastal and marine resources and ecosystem, and this is dramatized more in smaller islands. Jansa is not moving. Sorry. Stop. The loss of species and the destruction of habitats and ecosystem have drastically reduced their biodiversity and also the ability of these systems to withstand or to recover from severe disturbances. Nearly a third of the world's overzealous fishing is not only the problem. Global warming is apparently making the situation worse. And according to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the harvest from marine fisheries in Southeast Asia is expected to fall by between 10%, by 30% now to 30% by 2050, relative to catch levels as water temperatures rise. In some sea areas near Thailand and Indonesia, the harvests are forecast to drop over 40% and 30% by 2050, relative to recent catch levels as water temperatures rise. And in some areas near Thailand, Indonesia again, the harvests are forecast to drop over 40% in the same period. There's also the matter of security threat and looming regional ecological wars. Tensions in the South China Sea remain a big worry for regional leaders as Beijing continues to build artificial islands that destroy our pristine South Sea islands, destroying the coral reef, building all those structures. And now we have military installations. But for Malacanang Palace, there's no breach of good faith in China militarization of man-made island. That's according to Duterte. Vietnam remains the most vocal in the dispute with the Philippines, backing off under China-friendly President Duterte. Taiwan, Malaysia, and Brunei also have claims. So that's the bad news. I'm going to give you the good news. This is the context in which we are aging. But you know the good news? We are the new middle age. World Health Organization has reclassified age. And so, I'm so excited about this because under the new World Health Organization, 18 to 65-year-olds are still young people. Johnson, you are still young people. And 66 to 79, middle age. So Raja, you're still middle aged. Since Raja was very good looking 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Still is. And 80 to 99 years old, elderly or senior. The youngest among us, I think, is Mutia, 29 years old. The oldest, I don't know who's the oldest in the group. No one's. I kept asking, maybe Kang Soon said he's 77. Bala refused to answer my question about how old he is. So I don't know.
I'm younger than King Su.
Okay. What about Eddie Guzman?
75.
75, okay. I don't know if His Royal Highness will answer. Are you in the middle age group still?
Still young.
Oh, you're still young. Okay. 60, you're still within the border. 64, 65. You're still young adult, young. So that's the good news. How many of you are asleep by 11 p.m.? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of you are still awake by 1 o'clock? Oh, a lot. Majority. Okay. Do you know that cancer has been traced to the failure of many people in observing circadian rhythm? If you, on a daily basis, not just occasional when you have to rush certain reports and project proposals, but you make it a habit to have less sleep, more work, stress, well, you are a likely candidate in the near future, a decade from now, for cancer. Now, let's look at global trends, food politics, and modern sickness. In the past, we had open markets. I enjoy open markets. And what is sold in the open markets, you call it Agora, no? Changi Market Day in the Philippines. In Malaysia, used to be in Thailand, I'm sure. Yeah, you have these weekly markets, open markets. But those are now becoming things of the past because of the rise of malls, modern supermarkets, that redefine modern food foraging. Before, in the kampong, you just go out, and at your backyard, you can cut, the sprout of kangkong, the sprout of sweet potato, you have your chili. But now you do foraging in supermarkets and malls. And why is that destructive to your health? Because many of the food stuff sold there are not really food. And they are packaged in low-grade plastic that really have been identified as probable causes of cancer. There is also, so the more you consume frozen products, highly processed products, meat, the higher the probability of your developing what has been described as modern illnesses. There is also the factor of genetic modification that gave birth to GMO products. Imagine GMO corn with its own built-in pesticide. This all gave rise to 21st century diseases and ailments. So, His Royal Highness spoke of seismic changes. These are these seismic changes. And now it's happened to go to the malls. I sat beside an Iranian who flew all the way from Tehran, but stayed in Manila for 10 days, but all he did was go around the malls, and he did the same thing in Kuala Lumpur. We're addicted to malls. And recently this, which do I press to play this? Floating microplastics in your bottled water. I can't even I hesitate drinking from bottled water now. Even Evian, even high expensive bottled water now have shown that there are microplastics. This one, the film is showing you microplastics larger than the width of a human hair in bottled water. And some bottles contain, thousands of them. So this is a real problem now. We thought it would be safer to drink bottled water, no longer. Better to drink from top to top. I've read, really, even in Canada, that it's safer to drink from the tap of treated water. 10 particles confirmed as plastic, 314 smaller particles. So they saw it bottle after bottle of even brand names, like Evian. So some say this may have happened when the bottles were open, and there are no regulatory limits on plastic levels in bottled water. The water companies, of course, speak of highly standard measures, but can you imagine in the Philippines, in Asia, let's say Laos, Vietnam? Okay. So the tests on major brands of bottled water have found that nearly all of them contain tiny particles of plastic. This is also happening. The microplastic phenomenon is also happening in our seas. There is now a fellow, I sat beside him on my way to UP Los Baños, whose research is on the presence of microplastics in our seas, which are now being sucked by our fishes. It's destroying coral reefs and causing the death of many of our marine life. Because how can a turtle tell that the floating styrofoam bit is not edible? You know, the fishes nibble on these microplastics, and so we've seen fish kill. Breast cancer has been linked particularly to consumption of milk and cheese based on a study conducted by Ganmada Basambu, a Mongol physician and working scientist at the Harvard School of Public Health. Plastic wrappers, food cans. If you are into shortcut eating, storage stocks deposit at least 2 potentially harmful chemicals into our food, confirmed a new study. The chemicals bisphenol and phthalate-DHP are known to disrupt hormonal systems in the bodies of animals and people, leading to developmental and reproductive problems as well as cancers, heart disease, and brain disorders. Both chemicals appear in a wide variety of food packaging materials. How many here are fond of instant noodles? Or turn to instant noodles for quick relief of hunger? Well, our call center representatives do that. They work at night, okay, and then they sleep during daytime, and because they lack sleep, they would awaken because of hunger, but turn to quickie foods like instant noodles. And daily consumption of noodles, of instant noodles, has led to high incidence of kidney problems. I'm still helping him. Young man working, after 1.5 years of working in a call center, suddenly discovered one day he has stage 5 of chronic kidney disease. Number 1, from violating circadian rhythm. 2, from eating too much of instant noodles, ramen. Because the noodle, it's instant noodles, is not food. It has the same chemical element as the one used for Teflon, you know, those non-stick frying pans. So these are all part of the seismic changes that we're facing. So, how to personalize a way of eating and living just right for you based on your own needs and genes. Should be our goal in healthy living in Asia in the 21st century. The optimal lifestyle living: diet, low fat, whole foods. Whole foods mean eating not white rice. Asians love to eat white rice. Polished rice. But do you know that eating white polished rice is just like eating white sugar, which is the main cause of diabetes? Johnson, that's why you have diabetes. Yeah, it's true. It's been confirmed. And we are telling Filipinos that because the poor Filipino farmer eat a whole bandejado tray of white rice. So what you should, if you plan for your career, you should plan for your healthy living and plan your meals. Eat less in restaurants because restaurants serve deadly, delicious food. Loaded, if you go to a Chinese restaurant with sin, sodium monoglutamate. That's why it's delicious. Go for whole foods. What? Boiled sweet potato. Let's go back to the diet of pre-colonial Asia, pre-modern Asia. Boiled tomatoes, taro, yam, okay? Stress management. Many of the IDS fellows are living stressful lives. In our younger days, as university professors, we had to face the stress of publish or perish. Right? Research, consultancies. We also have to go for moderate exercise. Studies again show, Harvard Medical Study, we should at least engage in active exercise that makes you really sweat at least 30 minutes each day. 30 minutes. Cessation of smoking, none of us. Do some of us still smoke? Heavy alcohol intake. 1 glass of red wine supposedly is good for the heart. But do you know, the latest research finding I encountered is that all the California wines have a high arsenic content. Arsenic. And also, I've read of studies, European wines also. So, go back to coconut wine. We have the tuba. You know, where you tap the coconut tree, and then you have, what do you call it in Bahasa Melayu, toddy? Toddy. Tuak. Yeah, it's very good. I tasted it. It's like apple cider when it's freshly made. Yeah. But psycho, and then create your own psychosocial support group. ADS is an ideal group. I've known Roger for 40 years. But I'm younger than him. Customize a diet and lifestyle, meaning, so the simple choice we make each day can make powerful impact and consequences in our lives, whether we age ailing or enjoy wellness as we age. As I wrote in my book, copies of which are available there on the table, aging does not have to mean ailing, aching, and forgetting. That's my original. Aging does not have to mean ailing, aching, and forgetting. Although those are natural givens. But far too many Asians, old age is endured and not enjoyed, being associated with disease and physical and mental frailty. Old age is a time for taking it easy. I'm retired anyway, developing a taste for the city, sleepers, Netflix. Do you know all these things? Encourage us to live sedentary lives or become addicts of the dead. I practice meditation. I spend 30 minutes to an hour meditating. Build your own small community support group. Real time or social media, but don't limit your interaction in Facebook, Twitter, what have you. Build real friendship. So, that's what I said earlier, rejuvenating therapy and premature aging prevention. Aging doesn't have to mean ailing, aching, and forgetting. How long are we likely to live? Will our later years be blessed by healthy aging or marred by a host of illnesses? Simple lifestyle choices have an enormous impact on our longevity. At you, middle age and beyond, the key to healthy aging is neurogenesis and increased neuroplasticity. I used to think, and I used to believe that the old psychology that 0 to 7 is the most critical years of formation, and therefore beyond 7, you are more or less set for life. But there are new findings now. Okay, let's say, what is neurogenesis? What increases your neurogenesis, which means the creation of new neurons in your brain? Chocolate, dark chocolate, cacao. We grow this in the Philippines. So our goal in a healthy aging is increasing our neurons, neurogenesis, and neuroplasticity. What is it? It is an umbrella term referring to the ability of your brain to recognize itself both physically and functionally throughout your life due to your environment, behavior, thinking, and emotions. Well, the formerly held belief is that the adult brain was pretty much a physiologically static organ or hardwired after critical development periods in childhood. No longer. The advent of MRI, magnetic imaging, has shown that your brain is much more plastic during the early years, and the capacity declines with age, but plasticity happens all throughout your life. And plasticity dials back on in adulthood when specific conditions that enable or trigger plasticity are met. Under the right circumstances, the power of brain plasticity can help adults into mind grow. There are steps people can take to tap into plasticity and reinvigorate the machinery. These circumstances include focused attention, determination, hard work, and maintaining overall brain health. So, habits that harm your brain: smoking, too much sugar, chocolates. I used to like going through in the airport where you have this discount, tax-free area. Buy all those chocolates. I've stopped eating chocolate and sweets, although they're very tempting. Cakes. Okay, why? Research shows that high levels of sugar reduce the brain's ability to produce an important chemical called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which helps to form new memories, learn, and controls your ability to know when to stop eating. Without BDNF, you're also more susceptible to depression and dementia. So Johnson, do away with your cereals. Your sweetened cereals. I saw you eating this morning. Too little sleep. So these are the factors that lead to the shrinking of our brain. Skimping on sleep can make you sick, fat, and stupid. Many studies have linked ongoing insufficient sleep with heart disease, diabetes, depression, early death, and higher risk for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, stroke, some cancers, and multiple sclerosis. Loneliness. Feelings of loneliness can cause stress and inflammatory reactions in the brain. One study revealed that people had the least social contacts had the most severe cognitive deterioration. I just sort of, I was trying to relax last night. The story of Khalil Gibran. How many know Khalil Gibran? Of course, we all know him. And The platonic relationship he carried on with an Egyptian poet. She was called Genius of the... anyway, she was... May was her name. But because of bouts of depression and the way that she was victimized by her own close kin, she was committed to an asylum and she was confined there for a good number of time. And that really, and then because of the death of Khalil Gibran, one after the other, in 1 year after the other, the father, the mother, Khalil Gibran, whom she really loved from a distance, they exchanged letters and poetries through the years. But then she withdrew, and that led to her cognitive deterioration. She took on a different personality, became paranoid, and in the end, she lived a very lonely life and died tragically. Only 3 people brought her to her graveyard. Not reading or talking enough. Reading stimulates many higher levels. I don't think this is a problem of ADS fellows. We talk enough. Research suggests that reading may help lower the risk of Alzheimer's and dementia. Interacting with others help maintain brain function and mental acuity, sharpness. One study found that people of all ages who talk and socialize with others perform better on cognitive tests than those who didn't talk or share their feelings as much. So the joy of living is much better motivator than fear of dying. It is not to live longer that should be our end at midlife and beyond, but to live better. So this is, now I'm enjoying Raja saw this property before we acquired it. And after 4 months, we harvested our first heirloom organic black rice. The seeds came from Mindoro Island. So here I am with the harvest. I tried harvesting myself. It's fun with the workers. This is the one with the beret, black beret, is our national artist, Frank Shanghe Jose, is also a friend of Raja. He was at the Asian Renaissance. And at 93, he's writing another novel. It's science fiction. His works have been translated in Thai, Japanese, Italian, Greek, almost all languages. And he shared to me the basic plot of his science fiction novel. He believes only a revolution can really transform Philippine society. But in the end, in this novel, where he introduces robots and half-human robots, very good reading, I believe. But at 93, yes, mental acuity, he keeps himself busy. And he's such a gracious host. Giving up himself, he keeps, from time to time when he has a raging issue, he is a columnist, newspaper columnist. And he is an Ilocano, so he eats healthy. I'm an Ilocano myself, from northern Luzon, half Ilocano. He eats a lot of vegetables, he likes Japanese foods, and he has friends all over the world. He has a Japanese friend who hosts him in Japan, Tokyo, for him to write his novels and finish them. At the other side is Dr. Flora Angel Braid. She's the founder of Asian Institute for Journalism and Communication at 87, I think 87, I believe. She embarked on a new career, painting. So she just finished here an exhibit. Learning, rediscovering her gifts of painting. Also dancing. You know, dancing is very good exercise to keep your brain alive. And there we go, Raja. We trekked to the waterfalls with my knee. I have knee problems because I made the mistake of going on Pilates on the machine and not working with a professional gym trainer. I was saving and it rapidly affected my knees. So soaking on sulfur, mineral water, taking time to enjoy God-given natural facilities for healing. I am about to finish the construction of a mineral pool, and AGS fellows are welcome to see this. Raja has seen it before all this construction became a reality, where you can engage in balneotherapy. Do you know that royalties in Europe treated themselves to soaking in mineral water for therapy, for healing? So, keeping your family close to you, intimate, enjoying family meals out, and keeping your BFF, best friend forever, your spouse. And I was challenged about my own approach to healthy aging and healthy living by an agri-scientist. He's into vertical farming and is a pioneer in organic farming, farm-to-plate tourism. He said, what's the proof? What's the proof? Because I am set to form Elim Holistic Natural Healing Farm. And he said, what's the proof? I said, me. Do you know how old I am? If I have known Raja for 40 years, I'm 67, I just turned 67. And except for my knees, I feel strong enough to harvest rice. But just for a minute or so. Thank you. So you can enjoy them, please get them, and a copy of my book is available for you. It's the product of systematic research on alternative health and medicine.